The massive silhouette of the Aeneas Nemesis emerged from the rippling tear in space. Its angular hull bristled with weapons that glinted in the light of an unfamiliar sun. The ship was enormous, nearly 3 kilometers long, with a design unlike anything seen in this sector before. Its dark hull absorbed starlight rather than reflecting it, making it seem like a piece of night itself had taken form. Commander Park stood on the bridge, her posture rigid as sensor data flooded the displays surrounding her command chair. Her dark uniform bore minimal insignia, just the Earth Navy emblem and her rank. She had waited for this moment her entire career. First contact with alien intelligence was about to happen, but not as the peaceful explorers that old Earth fiction had imagined. Humanity had learned the hard way to be prepared. 7 alien vessels approaching, Commander, reported Lieutenant Kim from the tactical station. He adjusted his headset, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. They've arranged themselves in a defensive formation. No weapons signatures detected yet, but they're scanning us extensively. Defensive posture only, Commander Park ordered. Her voice was calm, betraying none of the tension that ran through the bridge crew. No targeting locks unless they initiate. The view screen showed the approaching alien vessels. They were sleek, organic-looking craft with hulls that seemed to flow like liquid metal. They moved with precision that spoke of advanced propulsion technology. "They're hailing us, Commander," Kim said, surprise evident in his voice. "Standard electromagnetic transmission, but the encryption is unusual." Park nodded. "Our first test. Let's see what intelligence got right. Run decryption sequence Alpha 7. Within seconds, their computers broke through the alien encryption that should have taken hours to decode. The humans had been studying intercepted transmissions for decades, preparing for this moment. Meanwhile, aboard the lead Concorde vessel, Ambassador Tai of the Vexari species felt the first stirrings of concern. The strange ship had appeared without warning at the edge of their system, triggering automatic alerts throughout the Galactic Concorde. The Concorde had existed for over 3,000 years, 27 species bound together in peaceful cooperation and mutual defense. Their technological supremacy had remained unchallenged for millennia. Tay's skin shifted colors slightly, reflecting his unease. The Vexari were diplomatic specialists, their biology capable of subtle communication through color changes that supplemented verbal language. He adjusted his breathing apparatus. The ship's atmosphere was optimized for multiple species, but not perfectly comfortable for any, and signaled to his communications officer. "This is Ambassador Tai of the Galactic Concorde. We welcome you to our territory and request identification." His voice was melodic, the translator converting his harmonic speech into standard Concorde language. The ship's analytics officer, Han, approached with a data tablet. "Ambassador, preliminary scans indicate the vessel is powered by controlled fusion, with what appears to be primitive reaction drives." However, he hesitated. "Continue," Tai urged. "The energy signatures don't match the technology. It's as if they're using advanced systems, but disguising them as primitive ones." Before Tai could respond, the communications panel chimed. The response had come with unsettling speed. "They'd bypassed our security protocols," said the communications officer, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly in alarm. "They shouldn't be able to do that." Commander Park's face appeared on their screens. Her features were alien to them. No scales, feathers, or exoskeleton. Just smooth skin and dark eyes that seemed to evaluate everything with cool efficiency. Her eyes were calculating and calm. "This is Commander Park of the Earth naval ship Nemesis. We accept your invitation to diplomatic talks, but our weapons will remain active." The Concorde representatives exchanged nervous glances. Earth was supposed to be a primitive world, barely capable of reaching their own moon. They had been placed on the quarantine list centuries ago, to be contacted only when they developed faster-than-light travel on their own. The plan had been to welcome them peacefully to the galactic community once they were ready. This ship should not exist. These humans should not be here. And they certainly shouldn't have technology capable of breaching Concorde communication security. "We acknowledge your position," Tai responded carefully. "May I ask how you developed interstellar travel capability? Our records indicated your civilization was pre-spacefaring." Commander Park's slight smile did not reach her eyes. "Your probes were detected entering our solar system 93 years ago. Did you think we wouldn't notice?" On the Nemesis bridge, Park turned to her first officer. "Begin full defensive scan of their fleet. I want weapons capabilities, shield strengths, and vulnerabilities." Lieutenant Song nodded crisply. "Already underway, Commander. Their scanning technology is advanced, but their counter-detection systems are surprisingly basic. They don't seem to realize we're analyzing them." "Keep it that way," Park said. "What about their weapons?" "Energy-based, similar to our plasma cannons but less focused. Their shields appear to be designed for meteorite deflection rather than combat." "These aren't warships, Commander." Park's expression remained neutral. Earth's united government had spent centuries preparing for this moment, building ships in secret, hiding their technological advancement from the alien observers they knew were watching. The discovery of alien probes had unified humanity like nothing before, a potential external threat that made old Earth conflicts seem petty. "Ambassador Tay," Park addressed the alien again. "We request a face-to-face meeting. We will send a shuttle to your vessel in 1 hour. 2 representatives only." The alien hesitated visibly. "We would be honored to receive your representatives. However, our standard protocol suggests initial meetings on neutral ground." "The Nemesis is as neutral as this gets," Park replied firmly. "We're not stepping foot on your vessels until we understand each other better. You can come here, or we meet by video only. Your choice." The silence stretched for several seconds before Tai responded. "We will come to you, Commander." As the communication ended, the Concord representatives broke into urgent discussion. Something had gone very wrong with their assessment of humans. These weren't the curious, peaceful explorers they had expected to eventually welcome to the galactic community. "Search the historic records," Tai ordered. "I want everything we have on Earth and humans." Han, the analytics officer, was already reviewing data. "Sir, the preliminary biological scans are concerning. Their physical structure suggests evolution on a high-gravity world with dangerous predators. Their skeletal density is remarkable." Meaning they're built to survive conditions most Concord species would find lethal. "And their ship?" Han paused. "The design principles suggest it was built for war, not exploration." The 7 Concord ships maintained their position at a respectful distance from the Nemesis. On its bridge, Commander Park watched the aliens carefully, knowing that humanity's future might depend on the next few hours. Earth had built this fleet because they believed the galaxy was dangerous. Now they would discover if they were right. Director Lee shifted uncomfortably in her seat. The human diplomatic room was set to Earth-normal conditions, higher gravity than most Concord species found comfortable. She felt heavy, each movement requiring conscious effort. The 5 other Concord representatives seemed equally uncomfortable, their various biological adaptations struggling with the environment humans called normal. "Your species evolved on a death world," Director Lee said, consulting her datapad. "The radiation levels alone should have prevented intelligent life." Commander Park sat across from them, perfectly at ease. 2 human security officers stood near the door, their postures relaxed but alert. The room was simple but elegant, with dark wood paneling and subtle earth artworks depicting landscapes of oceans and mountains. A large viewport showed the stars beyond. "You seem surprised," Commander Park said. Her voice was level, but a small smile played at the corners of her mouth. "We've been monitoring your communications for decades. Did you think we wouldn't notice your probes?" Director Lee exchanged glances with Ambassador Tai, whose skin had shifted to a pale blue, indicating concern among his species. "Impossible," said Technical Advisor Jin, the Concord's technology specialist. "Our communications are encrypted using quantum methods beyond what you believed we could understand." Park interrupted. "You underestimated us." "A dangerous mistake." Ambassador Tad leaned forward, his four-fingered hands clasped together. "Commander, please understand our confusion. According to our records, Earth was classified as Development Category 3, pre-interstellar civilization. Our protocols strictly forbid interference with developing worlds." "Yet you sent probes," Park countered. 93 years ago, our astronomical instruments detected anomalies in the Oort cloud, objects moving against gravitational patterns. By human year 2042, we had captured one of your devices. It took us 15 years to understand its technology." The door to the diplomatic room slid open, and a larger display screen activated on the wall. A stern-faced man in a formal military uniform appeared. "Admiral Kang, Earth Command," Commander Park announced. "Admiral, the Concord representatives have questions about our technological development." The Admiral nodded. "I'll be direct. The discovery of alien observation fundamentally changed Earth's trajectory. Nations that had been enemies for centuries united against a potential threat. Resources previously spent on internal conflicts were redirected to space defense and technological advancement." Director Lee's translator struggled briefly with the concept of nations, a social structure that had disappeared from most Concord civilizations millennia ago. "Our history is filled with conflict," Admiral Kang continued. "We built these ships as a precaution." "Ships, plural?" Ambassador Tai asked, his skin shifting to a deeper blue. Commander Park touched a control panel, and the viewport display changed to show the solar system. Small markers highlighted positions throughout Earth's system. "The Nemesis is just the first to make contact," she explained. "There are 17 others currently in service, with 12 more under construction." A stunned silence filled the room. The Concord representatives exchanged alarmed glances. Even the most militarized Concord species maintained only ceremonial defense forces. The concept of building warships in anticipation of conflict was alien to them. Dr. Ju, the Concord xenobiologist, cleared her throat. Her species had evolved from avian ancestors, and despite the translator, her voice had a musical quality. "Commander, our initial biological scans are..." She hesitated. "Surprising. Human physical capabilities exceed Concord averages by significant margins." Dr. Ju displayed her findings on a shared screen. "Your muscle density is 2.7 times greater than the Concord median. Your skeletal structure could withstand impacts that would shatter most species' bones. Your cardiovascular system allows sustained physical exertion that would cause collapse in others. We evolved on a high-gravity world with large predators," Park explained simply. "It's more than that," Dr. Ju continued. "Your species shows signs of evolutionary adaptation to conflict. Enhanced adrenaline response, rapid decision-making under stress, accelerated healing from traumatic injury. Even your visual processing prioritizes movement detection, a trait of both predator and prey species." Technical advisor Jin studied the data with growing concern. "Your brain scans indicate unusual development in areas associated with strategic thinking and threat assessment. These patterns are typically seen in apex predator species, not social cooperative ones." "Humans can be both," Commander Park said. "We cooperate to compete. It's driven our advancement for millennia." Admiral Kang nodded on the screen. "Our tribal instincts evolved to protect our groups against others. Eventually, our tribe became the entire human species." Ambassador Tai seemed troubled. "These traits you describe, they suggest a species evolved for warfare." "We evolved to survive," Park corrected. "War was just one challenge among many." The diplomatic room fell silent as the Concord representatives processed this information. Their civilizations had evolved toward peaceful cooperation so long ago that the concept of a spacefaring species with military instincts was deeply unsettling. "The Nemesis itself," technical advisor Jin said finally. "Its design shows combat capabilities we've never considered necessary for space travel. Point defense systems against micrometeorites," Park explained. "Capable of targeting incoming projectiles with pinpoint accuracy," Jin countered. "Reinforced hull plating for radiation protection." structured to deflect energy weapons. Commander Park leaned back in her chair. Precautions, Advisor Jin. Nothing more. Dr. Ju studied the human with scientific curiosity. Your heart rate hasn't elevated during this entire exchange. Most species show physiological stress responses during first contact situations. We've been preparing for this meeting for decades, Park replied simply. Admiral Kang addressed the group from the screen. The Concorde must understand our position. Earth remained isolated, developing independently while aware of alien observation. We had no way to know if the observers were benevolent or hostile. The Concorde has maintained peace for 3,000 years, Ambassador Ta said. We have no hostile intentions. Then we'll get along fine, Park said with that same slight smile. But understand this clearly. Humanity won't rely on the promises of strangers for our security. You believe we're a threat? Director Lee asked. We believe in being prepared for all possibilities, Park replied. Our ships are defensive measures, not invasion forces. Admiral Kang nodded in agreement. We don't seek conflict, he said, but we will not be vulnerable. The words hung in the air, simple but heavy with meaning. The Concorde representatives recognized the implicit message. Humans were willing to fight if necessary. As the meeting continued, Dr. Ju continued her observations of the humans. Their military discipline, their calm confidence, their physical capabilities, all suggested a species that had evolved in a crucible of challenge and conflict. The very traits that the Concorde had engineered out of their societies over millennia were still vibrantly present in these humans. Ambassador Tai realized that the Galactic Concorde's peaceful expansion had just encountered something they hadn't faced in thousands of years, a species that saw the universe as potentially hostile and had prepared accordingly. The sleeping giant of humanity had awoken on its own terms, armed and vigilant. What troubled him most wasn't the human warships or their surprising technology. It was the realization that in the face of the unknown, humans had built weapons while the Concorde had only ever built welcomes. He wondered which approach would ultimately prove wiser in a galaxy larger and more mysterious than either civilization yet understood. The Concorde Council chambers erupted in chaos. 200 representatives from 27 species filled the grand circular hall with voices, clicks, hums, and other sounds of alarm. The ancient chamber, with its soaring crystal dome and hovering translation modules, had rarely witnessed such disorder. Order. We will have order. The council leader, an elderly myth named Bin, pounded his ceremonial staff. The resonating tone gradually quieted the chamber. We will speak in turn about the human situation. The arrival of Earth's warship had thrown the Galactic Concorde into political turmoil. News had spread quickly through the connected worlds. Earth, a planet long marked as primitive and developing, had suddenly revealed itself with advanced technology and military capabilities. Representative Han of the Fraction Worlds rose first. Her crystalline exoskeleton glittered as she spoke. The humans must be contained immediately. Their warships threaten the peace we've maintained for 3,000 years. I propose a quarantine barrier around their solar system. Murmurs of agreement rippled through one section of the chamber. Ambassador Ta stood next. His skin shifted to confident green tones as he addressed the council. He had spent 3 weeks aboard the Nemesis, studying humans and their culture. The humans are defensive, not aggressive, he argued, his voice calm against the chamber's tension. Their caution is born from isolation and misunderstanding. They built warships because they detected our observation probes and feared the unknown. They have 17 warships, Representative Han countered. No peaceful species builds such a fleet. Ta displayed data from his meetings. They unified their planet after discovering they weren't alone in the universe. Yes, they built defenses, but they initiated contact peacefully. They seek trade and knowledge exchange, not conquest. Director Lee of the Science Division stood next. The humans evolved on what we would consider a death world. Their biology shows adaptations to conflict and survival under harsh conditions. This doesn't make them evil, but it makes them dangerous. The debate continued for hours, with factions forming quickly. Some council members saw opportunity in human technology and resilience. Others saw only threat in a species that approached the stars with weapons ready. Meanwhile, aboard the Nemesis, Commander Park was engaged in her own diplomatic efforts. 3 Concord trade representatives sat across from her, discussing potential exchange agreements. "We can offer advanced agricultural techniques adapted to low-gravity environments," Park said. "Earth can produce food supplies at 10 times your current efficiency rates." "Most impressive," said the lead trade representative. "And in exchange, access to your star maps and historical archives, knowledge of the species we'll be encountering." The trade representative nodded. "Reasonable. What about your propulsion technology? Our engineers are particularly interested in your ship's drive systems." "Not available for trade," Park said immediately. "Nor our weapons systems, shield technology, or hull compositions." The representative looked disappointed, but not surprised. "The Concord has shared technology openly for millennia. Your restrictions seem untrusting." "Trust is earned," Park replied simply. Later that day, Park walked with Ambassador Tay through a corridor of the Nemesis. The ship's artificial gravity was reduced to make the ambassador more comfortable. "Your council meeting went poorly?" Park asked, noting the ambassador's troubled blue skin tone. "Divided," Tay admitted. "Many fear what humanity represents." They reached an observation deck. Through the massive viewport, the stars shone brilliantly. The Concord station hung in space nearby, a beautiful spiral structure that housed the council chambers. "Why are humans so guarded, Commander?" Tay asked quietly. "The Concord has maintained peace for thousands of years. We could welcome Earth as equals." Park was silent for a moment, watching the stars. "Our planet faced brutal wars before unification," she finally explained. "We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, environmental collapse. Humanity stood at the edge of extinction more than once. But you survived." "We learned from it," Park said. "We learned that assuming others think like us is dangerous. We learned that power imbalances lead to exploitation. And we learned that preparation isn't paranoia when the stakes are survival. You don't trust the Concord. We don't trust anyone completely, Ambassador. Not yet. It's not personal." Tay's skin rippled with understanding colors. "I believe humans could be valuable allies to the Concord. Your different perspective might help us see blind spots in our thinking." Park smiled slightly. "That's the first truly wise thing I've heard from the Concord." Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert. Lieutenant Kim's voice came through Park's communicator. "Commander, we've detected unauthorized access to Shuttle Bay 3. Security teams responding." Park's expression hardened instantly. "Code yellow. Lock down all sensitive areas. I'm on my way." "What's happening?" Tay asked, alarmed by the sudden change. "Someone's trying to access my ship without permission," Park said, already moving quickly toward the door. "That's never a friendly act." Security footage revealed 6 individuals in environmental suits attempting to place devices on the Nemesis's hull near a critical power junction. Their movement patterns identify them as Zovian, a species known for their militant stance in council politics. The human response was swift and overwhelming. Within minutes, security teams in powered armor intercepted the intruders. The saboteurs were captured without casualties, though 2 humans and 1 Zovian were injured in the brief struggle. The diplomatic fallout was immediate. The Concord Council convened an emergency session. The Zovian representative denied official involvement, claiming the saboteurs were extremists acting independently. They sought to protect the Concord from human aggression. The Zovian representative declared. Commander Park attended this session personally. Her uniform was immaculate, her expression controlled as she addressed the council. "The devices planted on the Nemesis contained explosives that would have disabled our life support systems," she stated. This was not a diplomatic gesture, but an act of war. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Ambassador Tay, whose position had been weakened by the incident, looked deeply troubled. "The perpetrators will face Concord justice," Council Leader Bin assured her. "This action violated our most sacred principles." "Justice is appreciated," Park replied coolly. "But I'm more concerned with prevention. If the Concord cannot control its members, Earth must reconsider its engagement policies." "Are you threatening military action?" the Zovian representative demanded. "I'm stating facts," Park said. "Earth sought peaceful contact. We were met with attempted sabotage. This influences our trust calculations." The tension in the chamber grew palpable. Many representatives feared this incident would push humans toward the aggressive stance they had worried about from the beginning. "Perhaps," Park continued, "a demonstration would clarify Earth's position." With a signal to her communicator, Park activated a prearranged sequence. Outside, the Nemesis powered up a single weapons system. A focused beam of energy shot from the ship, striking a small asteroid in the nearby belt. The rock, nearly a kilometer across, shattered into dust. The council chamber fell silent, all eyes fixed on the viewport that had shown the demonstration. The precision and power displayed was beyond current Concord military capabilities. "That was less than 5% of our offensive capacity," Commander Park stated calmly. "We prefer peace, but we are prepared for alternatives." She surveyed the silent chamber. "Earth wishes to join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects. We bring valuable perspectives and capabilities. We seek trade and knowledge exchange. But we will not be vulnerable, and we will not be threatened." As she finished speaking, a message came through to her communicator. Park read it, then looked up at the council with renewed intensity. "It seems this discussion will need to continue later. Long-range sensors from Earth have detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of Concord space. Something is coming, and it's not announcing itself as clearly as we did." Ambassador Ta stepped forward, his skin shifting to alert orange. "What kind of signatures?" "The kind our defense systems classify as hostile," Park replied. "The kind we built the Nemesis to face." In the midst of tense diplomatic talks, an emergency alert shattered the silence. An unknown species called the Vex Collective had launched devastating attacks on multiple frontier worlds, catching everyone by surprise. The Concord fleet found themselves overwhelmed, their advanced military struggling against the Vex's superior technology and deadly biological weapons. Commander Park revealed a startling truth that had been hidden for years. The Concord had detected the Vex's signals long ago, which had secretly driven their rapid military development. Now, that preparation would be put to the ultimate test. With their backs against the wall, the Concord Council made a desperate decision. They would accept Earth's demanding terms, a permanent seat on the Council in exchange for military assistance. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but survival trumped pride. Admiral Kang gave the order, and something extraordinary happened. Dozens of Earth's most powerful warships suddenly appeared throughout Concord space. Each vessel was as impressive as the legendary Nemesis, their sudden emergence sending waves of shock through the alien civilizations. Commander Park stepped forward, taking personal command of the counteroffensive. Her confidence was unmistakable. "The Nemesis will lead the vanguard," she declared. "We've been preparing for this moment longer than anyone realizes." The assembled military leaders watched in a mix of awe and anxiety. These hidden Earth ships represented a game-changing moment in the conflict. The Vex Collective, who had seemed unstoppable moments ago, now faced a formidable new challenge. As the first battle groups moved into position, tension filled the command centers. Sophisticated tracking systems mapped the emerging threat, while strategists calculated potential scenarios. The fate of multiple worlds would be decided in the next few critical hours. The Vex had chosen their targets carefully, believing they would meet minimal resistance. Now, they would discover the true strength of a united interstellar alliance. Earth's unexpected intervention transformed the entire strategic landscape in an instant. Commander Park's strategic mind was already several moves ahead. She understood that this wasn't just about winning a single battle, but about sending a clear message to the Vex Collective. Earth and the Concord were not going to be easy targets. The warships moved with precision, their advanced systems humming with power. Each vessel carried weapons and defensive technologies that represented years of secret development. The Nemesis, with its legendary reputation, would spearhead the assault. As the first engagement approached, everyone knew this was more than a military operation. This was a turning point in galactic history, a moment that would be remembered for generations. The Vex Collective had awakened something they might not be prepared to face. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see how this unprecedented confrontation would unfold. Humanity's hidden fleet, long kept in reserve, was about to show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of achieving. The battle against the Vex Collective unfolded near the core systems, with the human Concord force launching a desperate defense. Earth's warships moved in ways that shocked their alien allies, displaying combat skills beyond anything previously seen. Commander Park led the assault using tactics that seemed completely crazy to the Concord military leaders. What looked like impossible strategies turned into brilliant victories. Her unconventional approach confused the Vex and gave her forces a critical advantage. The Nemesis, their flagship, took serious damage during the intense fighting. Multiple sections of its hull were breached, and the ship looked like it might not survive. But the human crew refused to give up. They continued fighting with an intensity that surprised everyone watching. With blood running down her forehead, Commander Park remained focused. "Reroute power from life support to weapons," she ordered. Her crew understood the command. Survival meant defeating the Vex, no matter the personal cost. The Vex fleet, which had seemed unstoppable moments before, started to lose its strength. Their confidence crumbled when two Earth ships, the ENS Thunder and ENS Valiant, executed a brilliant pincer move. They destroyed the Vex command ship in a spectacular explosion that sent shockwaves through the battlefield. Seeing their leadership eliminated, the Vex invaders began to retreat. Their once perfect attack formation collapsed, and they abandoned their invasion plan. In the battle's aftermath, the Concord Council gathered to recognize the human contribution. Ambassador Ta spoke to the assembly, acknowledging how wrong they had been about Earth. "We once thought humans were primitive," he said. "Now they are our most powerful defenders." Commander Park accepted the formal alliance agreement with a serious expression. Her warning was clear and direct. The Vex will return. And there might be even worse threats coming. Earth's warships will be ready. The alien species who had once feared humanity now felt safer. They knew Earth's powerful warships were watching over their borders, prepared to fight any future threats. The battle had changed everything. Humanity had proven its worth not through diplomacy, but through raw military skill and unwavering determination. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. As ships were repaired and wounded were treated, one thing became clear. This was just the beginning of a much larger conflict. The Vex had been defeated, but they would not stay silent forever. Commander Park looked out at the stars, knowing that greater challenges were waiting. Her crew had survived this battle, but the real war was still ahead. Earth had become the galaxy's shield, and they would not let anyone down. The stars continued to shine, silent witnesses to a turning point in galactic history. Humanity had arrived, and they were here to stay.